All right. There's no song. I'll have to do that in post.
We'll clean it up in post.
Welcome to another edition of After Further Review. Mark Ferrer, John Pelkey, Jeff Taylor on the board, and our producer. It's October 7th. I think it's our 73rd, 74th, 75th perhaps episode. Who's counting at this point? But lots to talk about.
Apparently you.
Well, I like numbers, John. You know this.
I know you do. It's like, I know all the presidents' names. Like, I could throw out a number and I could go like
1843, and I'd know who's president.
Or I could say 11.
Yeah, the 11th president's obviously James K. Polk.
All right. See,
who had a pretty good run. At the time, he was very popular, but he only had 4 years. He said he was only going to do 4 years, and then he promptly died after he got out of office. Just should have stayed president.
Wow.
James K. Polk, solid president, no doubt about it. So, yeah. So there it is. But, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of my friends have commented to me, and we've talked about this forever, that come October, we were going to, September and October, we were going to see NHL finals, NBA finals, U.S. Open, golf and tennis. We were going to see baseball playoffs, NFL, college football. It is unbelievable right now how much is going on. And I frankly think it's the best thing about 2020 is the fact that sports in the fall, which is when October and March, we all sort of agree are the best sports months in the year. And now October's the best sports month on steroids. And thank God, frankly, that we have something that's better than 2019 or previous years in the sense that every single sport is happening at the same time. I'm
glad the NHL wrapped it up early, though, because just trying to find time to watch enough stuff to feel like I'm, particularly with these baseball playoffs, the expanded playoffs, and there's, 4 and 5 games in a day. And then, I realize the NBA finals are on at like 10:30, and it's crazy. It's that, and I think I said it in the last show, the Stephen Wright joke, if it wasn't for time, everything would happen at once. And everything is literally happening at once. And
time was a victim of COVID-19 in 2020. Time was actually a victim. Everything is happening at once. Let's start with let's actually start with the progressive trivia right now, and we'll see what happens with this one. I started with another player, and then I fell to this guy as I was researching.
I've done that.
Similar statistics. And I thought, that guy's probably better, looking at a certain statistical or clue or whatever it is. And it's like, all right, maybe we go with him. So here we go. 35,000 plus passing yards. That's a lot. 6-time Pro Bowler. 20 plus TDs in the postseason. Went to a school in the ACC.
Boy, that's tough.
I will say this, that
you're not eraing me yet. I don't have the era yet, and I don't know if he's active or not.
Now, the 6-time Pro Bowler, I will say it's from the previous guy I was doing. I didn't catch that when I was.
So it's not actually the clue.
That's incorrect. That's an incorrect clue.
How many Pro Bowls for this guy?
I can't tell you.
Because that'll
it may
that would have given it to me. I'm going with that. That would give it to me. That would have given it to me. I would have exactly known.
So now you're off the hook for not knowing it after 4.
Right. You're putting false clues. You're doing what we have been accused of at the ESPN club. I used to love that and it's usually with the, played with or whatever, where it's like, he never played with him. He never played with him. And it's like, you show it to them. It's like, yeah, no, actually he had a cup of coffee at the end of his career with that team, and they still don't believe it, or they'll just pick one clue. It would be like, is it Rich Gannon? No. Well, he went to 6 Pro Bowls. Well, yeah, but he went to Delaware, which isn't in the ACC, though in many ways might as well be at this point. Yeah. So you're just giving false clues. I like it. It's harkening back to when we used to work for a living.
Yes, indeed. And that's the Dave Azer in the video talking about progressive trivia. That's the one thing he focuses on is
first thing he said to me when I took over his job and immediately elevated the quality of the show. The first thing, and he went on to a much bigger paycheck and stardom, so it's all right.
It was a win-win.
Let's just be honest. He was better at what he did, and I was better at what I did. But the first thing he said to me when we probably the infamous Fringe Festival day, he said you got to make sure you don't let it just lapse into being nothing but trivia, because that, I guess, you guys did a lot of trivia back in the beginning. We upped the ante a little bit.
We did.
But
we had look lives, we had video production, we had actually a lot of great athletes once Keith got into that position. So with this video, I'm talking about this. I know this is way inside baseball.
Yeah,
my kids
video for Mark's 60th birthday that we
did you like? But and John has a prominent role in it, as you would expect. And did you like the underscore music that they had for you when they first came on?
Oh, absolutely.
That was pretty clutch.
All great.
All
Good
right.
stuff. Can't wait to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, and you make at least two more appearances.
It's like Reds, though. There should be
an
intermission, for God's sake. Jody, my watching it, and I mean, honestly, Jeff, I only saw 10 minutes of it. It's about a half an hour long, and I'm like 10 minutes in. I go, I'll have to watch the rest of this later, and I hear my wife go, later? What do you mean? There's more?
No,
and it's like Perth hadn't even come into it yet.
Long.
She hadn't even come into it yet.
No, she has an appearance as well a little bit later. Did you see the wine? Did you see that particular commercial, the wine commercial?
I did see the wine commercial. They're fine video actors versus me, who's not.
All right, so let's move on to Major League Baseball. You mentioned it, and we talked earlier about how much you were rooting for the A's, and I know Jeff is no fan of the Astros as well. They're up 2-0. They haven't lost a game. They're 4-0.
Yeah.
They're hitting like 300 this series. I think they hit 190 the last series because, they didn't hit, but they really pitched well. So they're doing everything they need to do right to make this thing happen. They're up 2-0. It's a best of 5. So all they need to do is win one more. But Dusty Baker, I will say this: Dusty Baker has been in this situation before, up 2-0, needing just to win one game. And in the particular series I remember in 2012, they went back to Cincinnati, so they were at home for 3 games and lost all 3.
Yeah,
and I think he got fired after that because of his postseason history. But I don't know about this one. The A's aren't the most stellar postseason performers, and the Astros seem to be finding their way. They pitched really well in the first series when they didn't hit, and now they're hitting really well in this series when, at least in the first game, they didn't pitch that well. So I don't know. I certainly like the Astros to move on to the ALCS.
Well, and I think the thing about the Astros too, and I think one of the things that happened, and I wasn't as up in arms about the cheating thing as some people were, but I do think that it obscured the fact that, yes, they were caught doing that. They're also a very talented baseball team. And I think a lot of people thought, the only reason that they got to the World. No, they're a talented baseball team that sadly cheated for an extra bit of an edge. And I really do, Mark. I think I said this the last show. I think they're using the fact that it's them against the world as something to fuel them, and giving world-class athletes more things to drive their performance. And I think you're right. It's not a really great matchup for the A's. There were better A's teams that did not move on in the playoffs than the one that we're seeing now. So I think, kind of a bad matchup for a decent A's team, but not as talented as Houston.
Astros hit 194 in the first series.
And to your point, that's scary when a team is because we've seen teams that just come in and they'll outscore everybody. I mean, it certainly looked like the Braves in the first, they didn't give up a run. Now they've proven that they can give up some runs and then score a lot of runs as well. But you're right about the Astros. They can beat you in low scoring pitchers duels, and they can beat you if they have to outscore you. So I think they're going to be a tough out. And I know that everybody thinks that the Yankees and Rays, and I said, it seems like it's your American League Championship Series, but I tell you, if the Astros beat either of those teams in the ALCS, I don't think that's a huge upset at all.
even though they finished under 500 in the first 60 games. So,
yeah, does the regular season record in this 60-game season mean that much? I don't think that it does.
I think that the people that are rooting for teams that get ousted by those teams are going to have, that's going to be the sour grapes argument. Yeah. You know, they were 29 and 31. Well, it's 60 games, people. Mm-hmm. Lots of champions have a 60-game stretch where they're 29 and 31. Right. So it's, I agree with you in principle, but I think it's going to be used a lot. But they went to the World Series last year. They went to the World Series in 17.
Right.
So 2 out of the last 3 World Series they were in, they have been a juggernaut really for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Why would that change?
And the cheating thing is like, look, most people think Barry Bonds cheated and took steroids. It didn't matter. Barry Bonds was, I mean, it might have mattered obviously to the numbers and there were some things, but Barry Bonds was still a great baseball player.
Yeah, he was a Hall of Famer like Roger Clemens.
You know, and these guys, Carlos Correa and stuff, they're really, really good baseball players.
Yes.
And I think, you know, they are going to be a tough out for anyone. And would you be surprised if this Rays-Yankee series, which has all the hallmarks of a terrific series,
of a classic, yeah.
Oh my goodness,
going 5 games. It's the classic. I mean, the Yankees have 13 home runs in the postseason so far, and the Rays are the second best pitching staff in the American League. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, so would you be surprised if they just beat each other up for 5 games and the Astros sweep and get to sit around? Yeah, they're in the fabled catbird seat right now. I think if you look at all 4 teams left in the American League, they're certainly well primed to get back to another World Series. And that would because I really care for the American League other than the Orioles anyway. I'm all for it. Yeah, whatever.
No, I mean I think it would be fun to have that. But I mean they hit 196 in the first play-in, series, whatever you call that one. And now they're hitting 303 or 306, whatever it is. It's hilarious. We've talked about the Rays and the Yankees briefly. The Yankees have 13 home runs in 4 games.
And I hate them all the more because of it. You know me. I don't
13 home runs. Home runs. The Rays are the second best pitching staff in the according to ERA in the American League. It should be a lot of fun.
But it's 1-1.
Yep, it's 1-1. I think this is going to be a very good series. In the National League, to your point, the Braves didn't give up a run. They had a 0.00 ERA for the first series. They gave up 5 yesterday, I believe was what it was, but they won going away.
And they're saying that the beaning of Acuna was the thing that really kind of talk about giving guys extra reason. They said a couple of Braves players have said that was a turning point for them, that it refocused them in some way.
Yeah, the Marlins were ahead, and for a while I was thinking, there is a Marlins postseason weird thing.
Never lost a series.
Exactly. I just couldn't stand them in 97 and 2003, primarily because they beat the Giants. But I didn't want them to win afterwards, and they kept doing it, and it's this weird, bizarre pact. I think it comes down to a pact.
A Satanistic pact. I would certainly hope.
Yes, there's some sort of
2020. It's 2020. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Zombies. That's next.
Exactly. Either a supernatural evil pact with the devil, a la Mick Jagger and Aleister Crowley, or what's that?
Robert Johnson as well.
Yes, any of those, or just maybe just a high end, deep state.
Could be. Always a possibility.
Maybe Russian and Chinese, collusion kind of thing. Who knows?
I like that. Very Manchurian candidate sort of thing. Tom Marino basically saying the A's inexperienced lineup. Agreed. I just don't. I think there have been, my whole point, but there have been better A's teams that haven't gotten this far in the playoffs. So I think they're just running into a team that's probably better than them. And he's saying the Orioles are a long way from winning the World Series. Will not happen in my lifetime. And I just had a 2-hour online meeting with our financial advisor who mapped out what kind of money we would have if I lived to be 90. And I think even if that happens, the Orioles will not win another World Series.
So you're in good shape to have enough money to pay the bills when you're 90.
Well, I mean, if, not too many more years like this, if we could get back to something approaching what it used to be, then we would be okay. It was just, laying all that sort of stuff out. But even if I make 90, Mark, 34 years, The Orioles will not win the World Series in that period.
Wow, 34 years? That's a bit much, Johnny. I think I would take that bet.
Would you?
34 years.
Yeah, but then you'd have to make 94. And I'm thinking neither of us are going to be there to collect on that bet.
No,
that's the issue.
That is actually the truth.
That's the issue. I don't think that,
actually the truth.
To say in my lifetime that they won't win another World Series, well, hell, I don't think they're going to turn it around 2-3 years. So I think there's certainly a possibility, but that's not going to happen. But
no, but you said 34 years. I would take that bet, and then it would go to my kids, who would collect on.
No. There would be none of that. It would have to go directly to you. I'm not going to play any of that. I don't believe in that I want the death tax. You know me. I know that generational wealth shit.
How does that work out? How does that work out anyway? Like John's on his deathbed and he has to write a check to your kids. He's like, "All right, I'm dying now, so here's the check."
Who are we kidding? A check? At that point, Jeff,
lives.
At that point, they'll just plug into the whatever silicone chip is in my neck, and it'll take whatever monies and pass it along to their neck. So come on,
it's the neck now. Huh? So I thought it was supposed to be in the hand.
Really? I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea at all. That wouldn't be good for like pitchers and quarterbacks and things like that.
Well, people have so much ink on them these days, it doesn't really even matter. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you couldn't even tell if there was a mark on their arm or their hand.
You've been considering the tattoo? Because, I got one a couple of years ago. Have you considered that, the tattoo? Nothing like that? Or
you know me, Johnny.
Afraid you can't get buried in a Jewish cemetery?
You know me. No, I'm just afraid in general. Some sort of blood poisoning I'm going to get. Some sort of something. I'm just afraid.
You don't put a bumper sticker on a Rolls Royce.
Oh my goodness! All right,
very sweet.
I think a 60-year-old. I think you need to get a Giants tattoo, San Francisco Giants tattoo. I think that's where you'd go.
I don't know. Giants.
Maybe picture your kids, Kiki and Morton. Kiki and Morton and a Giants tattoo.
All right, kind of like that. Well, Giants 49ers, because Bobby's sort of the 49er fan of my kids, and Taylor's the Giants fan. So maybe their face over each of the logos, that obviously would not look very
like
good.
A whole sleeve, just a whole sleeve looking like with like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Too much to go through, John.
There's a little pain involved. It's not
too
really
much to go for a sleeve. Yeah, there's a lot of pain, I would assume, at that point in time.
Yeah, you got to go through like a number of different.
That wouldn't be going to happen.
I'm going to get you. I'm getting you drunk, and you're getting a tattoo.
I got a guy.
Of course, Jeff's got a guy. We'll keep the price down, and we're going to get a tattoo of the Giants and the Niners logo on Mark's ass. That's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Chime in, fans, if that's what you'd like to see, because we need to give our fans something back.
I'll tell you, I will talk about the Dodgers and the Padres. You realize the Dodgers had 4 hits.
4 runs on 4.
5-1. They had 4
hits. I thought they had 4-1. Good Lord. That's run production, baby.
They got all 4 hits in 1 inning and got 4 runs in that inning. They got 3, runs that were earned. 1 was unearned, and 1 was a wild pitch. So technically it's earned, but they only had 3 RBIs in the lineup, if you will. 4 hits, all in 1 inning, John.
Stop yelling at me.
No, it's
why you're yelling at me.
I know. I don't know.
I didn't give up the hits.
No, it's like the 1960s Dodgers, and we know this lineup is not like the 1960s Dodgers. This lineup can explode at any time, and it did in that 1 inning. There were 4 hits, but that's the entire. The entire box score is this 1 inning, and they win going away against San Diego, and it was a tight game.
Right. Can you take it was very tight. Can you take away from that game, if you're a Padres fan, the fact that you did largely shut them down? Obviously, the rest of the game you gave up the big inning. Is that it? And I know I'm not a big moral victory guy, but I mean you do have to look at it. If your team like the Padres that hasn't been in the postseason for a while, and this juggernaut that is the Dodgers that we all believe is going to get to the World Series and lose again. Do you think you can take something positive away from that?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's like you were in the game. Close it out, people.
You only gave up 4 hits, though.
Yeah, but close it out. You had 5. San Diego, you had 5 hits. Yeah. I mean, come on. You shouldn't lose by 4 runs when you out-hit the opponent.
That's a good point.
It's just not going to happen. The Dodgers are going to walk. Although I think the Braves might give them a little bit of a series. I do think Atlanta, LA would be a really nice NLCS.
I think that's what we're probably going to see too.
And where it's probably going to be, that's a 7-game series. Finally, we're back to 7 games. I would be very surprised if it goes, more than 6 games. I can't see the Braves winning more than 2. But in the American League, we'll see. Who knows? It might be another Astros-Dodgers World Series. Now, wouldn't that be great? And then the Dodgers get redemption. Because wouldn't that be better redemption for a Dodger fan as opposed to Joe Kelly hitting a batter and having that little face when there's a big mural about him now too with his kids? God, isn't beating them in the World Series?
Yeah, no, I would. No, of course, that's the
redemption.
Ultimate. Yes, that is the ultimate because you're playing against largely the same Houston team. There are some. There are some different guys. Obviously, it's not all the same, but yeah, I would think that would be the ultimate redemption. And if you're a Dodger fan, I think you cheer for Houston getting there so you can do that. I know most of them are like, let them lose, cheaters. No, come on. Let's do this without you banging on a trash can and having a silicone chip, which I've used too much now, inside your jersey or what the hell ever. Good Lord. All right, let me. I want to point out a couple of things here for the progressive trivia. To Tom Marino slammed my Orioles, and rightfully so. Joe Flacco, he didn't go to an ACC school. He I believe actually went to Delaware as well. And Aaron Rodgers went to Cal. Couldn't be further away from the Atlantic coast. So no, that would be no. And I don't even know what the answer is right now. Yeah, no. See, now Tom's chiming in. Oh, no, wait, he wasn't in the ACC. Oh, we'll pretend he didn't hear me. Good Lord, just rampant cheating. Talk about there's trash can banging on our progressives, Mark. I'm convinced of it.
Of course, obviously. I don't think there's any doubt. Let's go back to progressive. 35,000 passing yards, 6-time Pro Bowler, which isn't true. 20 plus TDs in the postseason.
May or may not have gone to 6. You don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did go to 6. We don't know. And I don't know who it is. So
I do know he didn't. Didn't. Went to a school in the ACC. Here, John, is where you might be, you might have to rethink some things. Played with Frank Gore and Emmanuel Sanders, 24 game-winning drives in his career. Went to 2 schools, however. Thrown as many playoff interceptions as he has won playoff games. Went to 2 schools, John. So
now, see, is that a JUCO? Is it?
It's a major Division I.
Okay, so he went to 2 actual name schools. Okay,
FBS is the way you call it these days. FBS schools. He went to 2 FBS schools. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me think about that.
And one of them was an ACC school.
All right. The other, maybe not, but we don't know that even. So,
I have not said if anything's right or wrong at the moment. Let's go to the NBA playoffs. To me, the most interesting thing about last night, and they're up 3-1 the Lakers over the Miami Heat, and I think the Miami Heat are such gamers. I love watching them. I think they are so undermanned right now. And I think they don't have their guard, their main guard, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are playing. It is very impressive to see what the Heat are doing. I might be more convinced, Jeff, about Eric Spoelstra's credentials in a finals loss than I would in a finals win.
Listen, I'm known for 2 things: saying Darko Milicic would get a championship before Carmelo Anthony, and that Eric Spoelstra will be a Hall of Fame coach. One of those things is true.
Yes. I think both of them will eventually be true.
But I love the fact that the reason the Lakers are where they are right now in the end, and I think we can all agree with this, is because of how they've played defense all year. They held Miami to the lowest amount of points they've gotten in the entire postseason. And the adjustments they're making. I mean, Vogel, I always thought Vogel was a solid coach. I didn't think but having 7-foot Anthony Davis guard Jimmy Butler and shut him down was genius. And their defense is why they're in this position. I think that's, anyone that loves the NBA, anyone that really because in the end, defense, we've always heard people say this, defense and rebounds are literally about effort and will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like getting position. It's like having the energy to defend. It's like, that's what was so impressive about Dennis Rodman in all those years, is that he just had this will, this effort, he just took his game up to this higher level, even without natural talent. I mean, he had obviously some to be in the NBA, but it's their defense. And the fact they put AD on Jimmy Butler and it worked. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a great story.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I just think, as we talked about before this, I think Miami deserves and Spoelstra, they deserve an awful lot of credit. I think they have managed the bubble better than everybody else, and I think on any night they can beat anybody on any night. That's quite obvious. I just think in an extended series, LA is just a better team. They just have more talent than
especially
Miami.
Now.
Yeah,
Miami's banged up.
Yeah, so that said, I wouldn't be surprised if they win. If Miami wins another one, I would not be in any way shocked, because I don't care how good teams are. When you're up 3-1, it's awfully easy to start picturing yourself holding that trophy up. So there you go. By the way, Joe Flacco.
Tom Marino's gotten it. He got it. His first guess, he got it.
Did I just give it away? I just gave it away, didn't I?
You probably did, although I didn't hear it, so it may not transfer.
He had actually said that earlier, and I said no. Okay, sorry.
No, that was his first guess.
Yeah,
and you mocked him.
I did. I did not know that he'd gone. I'd forgotten. I guess I'd known that. See, I'm a bad guy. I fully admit it.
Jan Ferreira is on the line as well right now. But Tommy, man, oh man, that's good. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did have an ACC school. That wasn't an ACC school, oh, by the way, when he was there.
Yeah.
But it is now an ACC school now.
I'd like to point out that your mom's calling me Joe now. I'd like to point that out. Hi, Joe. Hi, Jeff.
No, she's talking to Joe Connolly. She's saying hello to Joe Connolly, and she's saying hello to Jeff Taylor. She's not saying hello to you.
Well,
or me. We should point out.
She's still angry I failed your algebra class when we were both in 9th grade and I was taking it or whatever. Blames me for everything that's ever happened to you. God almighty.
I know. All right. So there it is. Let's any other NBA stuff to offer, guys, in terms of where we are? I mean, you think you wouldn't be surprised if Miami wins, goes to 3-2. I think the Lakers are going to do every series, which is win 4-1.
I wouldn't bet that they're going to win the next game, but I would not be surprised, because again, I think there is a tendency for teams up 3-1 to, it's just human nature. You've got, you have to win one, and you have 3 games to do it. So we'll see. I think LeBron's pretty focused right now, and
his record in closeout games is pretty stellar. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it is like pretty stellar. It's like over 80% or 90%.
Yeah. Everybody's turning on me, by the way, now. Tom Marino turning on me.
I don't know why he's saying you guys. Come on now, Tommy. I'm giving you all kinds of love for figuring out Joe Flacco. I'm just giving it away.
Yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Nobody cares. Who listens? No. It's just your family. They're all here listening right now. Anyway. We did pick up a fan, though. We picked up a fan. Reese Williams. 7-year-old Reese Williams.
I did read that.
He
likes when we argue.
He loves it when we argue. He laughs when I pick on you because he knows me, and he's been told about you. As parents
from you,
as parents warn their children about people.
So be careful, that little old man, Reese.
Listen, if you're around this guy. Honestly, what's the safe word? There it is. Stranger danger. Watch out.
All right, so let's go to the last set of clues for this guy. And why doesn't anyone think of another major quarterback that's out there right now and active who went to 2 schools and one of them was in the ACC, John? Who would that be? A guy who's had a great career and he went to 2 schools, one of them in the ACC. Don't you automatically think of someone else?
I don't. I don't think for some reason that's
Russell Wilson.
Me.
Russell Wilson.
Oh gosh, yeah. How did I not know that? He played for Tom O'Brien, who I've met. Yeah.
That's who I wanted to do. And then I got onto the Joe Flacco thing, and it unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But it's like I just have to give credit where credit's due. Tom Marino.
Might as well just
roll your contribution, by the way. In the video. Tom Marino's playing Happy Birthday with fingers like this, which he says are my fingers. All right, 35,000 passing yards. By the way, Flacco, no Pro Bowls.
None.
0.
That's very surprising to me.
0. 20-plus TDs in the postseason, oh, by the way. Went to a school in the ACC, which was Pitt, which wasn't in the ACC at the time.
And that would have gotten me, too, because I still don't think of them as an ACC school.
Played with Frank Gore. That's this year with the Jets. Flacco will start this Sunday, by the way, because Darnold is out. He played with Emmanuel Sanders last year when he was with the Broncos. So it's, hilarious.
Wow.
That's before Sanders was traded to the 49ers.
Right.
I know. Seriously, I thought, you just can't win. 24 game-winning drives, went to 2 schools, Pitt as well as Delaware, and thrown as many playoff interceptions, 10, as has one playoff game. He's won 10 playoff games. 10.
That's why I think it's remarkable to me the Pro Bowl thing. I would have had a better chance getting it with the 6+ Pro Bowls than I would have with the 0, quite frankly.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to land and what's going to hit. So the last set of clues, he won at least 1 Super Bowl. That was after the 2012 season against the 49ers. Top 10 active TDs thrown and top 10 active passing yards. And in one postseason, that was the 2012 postseason, had 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Remarkable. He was Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
2012 Baltimore Ravens that won the Super Bowl. That's indeed. Well, might as well give it out right now, Jeff. What the heck? Who is it? We all know at this point in time it's Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Who is starting this Sunday for the New York Football Jets.
Wow. Well,
so who knows?
What's Sam Darnold? Why is he out? Just disinterest? Because I could see that, honestly.
Seriously.
It's like, really? Do I have to go through this? Because I don't want to look at game film.
What's like
no ennui? I mean, what is he down in the
ennui? I think is a great reason why you do not play DNP ennui. I love that. I do love that.
It's true though. It really has to be difficult when you're on a team like the Jets, and I know these guys are self-motivated, everything, but when week in and week out that it's going to be, if you win a game, it's literally going to be considered a miracle. That's got to be difficult year in and year out. And I feel bad. I feel bad for Darnold. I wonder if he's going to be one of these guys who the wrong situation with the wrong coaching slowed his progression down.
I don't know, Johnny. Pac-12 quarterbacks.
I do. And I was not huge on Sam Darnold at the time, but I mean, he has shown flashes of having the skill set. But Mark, you and I have talked to enough coaches. We've talked to enough players. We talk about how important it is to be in the right place, particularly for quarterbacks, because it is the step from being a college player to a professional player at any position is a big step. People don't understand how much bigger that is than going from, even going from high school to a Division I power. It's still light years ahead. When you're talking about quarterback and you have inconsistent coaching, or it can wear on you. The Washington football team has benched Dwayne Haskins. I was never a huge fan of Haskins as that draft choice anyway, because I always felt that he was, and everyone did, that he was a bit of a project, and he found himself in Washington, which is not a great culture there. I think Ron Rivera will bring that back, but I just wonder if it's really, really set him back to the point that he may never have success that he might have had if he'd been in a situation like Tua is, where you have a veteran in front of you and you have a head coach and a front office that has a plan and doesn't just, throw the bones to decide what they're going to do on any given moment. So
I know, but you look at Joe Burrow and the lack of offensive line that Cincy has and the lack of talent up and down the roster for the most part. Joe Mixon's starting to step up, but I mean,
yeah.
And he is gaming it, man. They're undefeated in their last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They got a tie and a win.
but listen, there are also guys who've been successful quarterbacks who have struggled. And again, Haskins, I believe it's 10 starts. We know guys who've gone on to have a great deal of success, who have struggled up to that point in time. No two things are the same. Who have you played? I think there are a lot of different things going on there. I also think that the Burrow, who did sort of come out of nowhere in college, and he wasn't like a Phillip Rivers, who I still think holds the record for most starts in college and that sort of thing. I just think that Burrow was, and everybody thought this, was more prepared, given the systems that he played in, was more prepared to go and have some success than Haskins, who was working against the fact that he did not come from a pro system and he didn't have a lot of starts under his belt. I just feel bad for the guy. I just feel bad for him.
I feel bad for Haskins. I'm not sure I feel that bad for Darnold.
I don't necessarily feel bad for Darnold, but I do wonder.
Big white quarterback out of Southern Cal. Come on, he's got everything going for him. Sorry. Can I say that out loud?
You went to UCLA? Is that
again?
And you kind of like USC more, anyway.
Well, because I'm out here, and it's one of those things. Like I would like to see the Pac-12 do something. I'm a Stanford guy in the end. I don't care. I don't care about UCLA, but
no, nor should anyone. Frankly,
we should talk about the COVID thing because Joe brought it up, and I was going to bring this up. Is it Stephen Gilmore? Is that how you pronounce his first name, or is it Stefan?
I think it's Stefan Gilmore. How's he spelled? Stephen? That's my middle name.
Phon. So it might be Stefan.
It could be Stefan.
Gilmore, he and Patrick Mahomes at the end of that game are hugging.
Yeah.
They're not wearing masks. And he tested positive. Gilmore tested positive.
He did, yes.
So at the moment, the New England game, as well as the Tennessee game, and there was 2 or 3 more
at least
positives
2 more
on Tennessee. Right now, they're slated to not postpone.
Yeah.
Right now they're slated, and we'll see what happens. But Goodell, I think shortly after our show on Monday came out and, said, listen, if you're not following the protocols, you're going to have to forfeit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to forfeit some games.
And it seems particularly Tennessee.
That is the way to go. That's the typical NFL way to approach it too. It's not MLB, nuancing it around. No, it's NFL. It's like, no, screw it. You're done. You lose.
And I think it's Tennessee. We definitely are at least getting hints.
Some reports,
we have some that there have been guys who have broken protocol. And we all said that. That's what we saw in Major League Baseball with the Marlins that we were speaking about before. That breakout was because a number of guys did not follow the proper protocol. It's difficult, though. Because one guy can break protocol and can give it to numerous guys. So I don't know if a forfeit, maybe it'll have the desired effect. And I guess really it comes down to that the ends will justify the means. But it's concerning. But I do think, to the point that we made before, I think the NFL is approaching it pretty much the only way that it can at this point. And so hopefully that will be successful. My dogs are going crazy here. I don't know what's going on.
So Tom Marino wants to do the PowerPoint himself next show or next week. And he wants to prove that he's not cheating all this time because we just completely accuse everyone of trash cans.
We just assume everyone's cheating.
I can't believe we've talked about all the topics that we wanted to talk about today. We talked about the NBA Finals. We talked about NFL and COVID. We talked about MLB playoffs. We've done our PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We're at 38 minutes. Do you know what the key is, John? The key is not putting times next
on
to
the menu. First time ever. First time the menu didn't have times.
Yeah, because what's the point? Because we always blow past the time.
It's a good point.
So let me ask you this. First off, I like the idea of having Tom do the trivia and the PowerPoint.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Second of all, is there anything that's tugging on you about a deep dive coming up in the future? Is there anything at all that is saying, there is a documentary that I would have liked to have seen?
I'll have to admit,
I haven't seen it.
I really admit I haven't really thought about it, simply because, to your point earlier, I'm struggling to remember what games are on any given day.
Right.
And trying to at least put in my time by watching some of each of the games. I'm trying to do that with baseball, trying to dial in a little and see what the story is. So no, nothing off the top of my head, though I may have to do a deep dive into why did Joe Flacco transfer out from Pitt? Was it just the the inappropriateness of the University of Pittsburgh? Well, who knows? And that's just for our Pitt fans. So no, I haven't really had an opportunity to think about it. People should, if the people who are fans of this show, either of them, if they have an idea for a deep dive, they should throw it out there, because maybe you will. Do you have one, Mark? It seems to me this is where you set it up to make me look bad.
Joe,
Joe,
I don't know if he's trying to punish you or not, but he wants one on dynasties, and
no chance in hell. No chance in hell. No chance in hell.
Again, why not?
Don't like dynasties. It's not something I would particularly want to do a. And it's kind of. I mean, that's a mini series, frankly, because if you got into that, you'd have to do. I mean, how many dynasties would you do? The Celtics of the '60s. I mean, maybe the Steelers. That's all encompassing, and I don't like dynasties. So
I like that idea. I like the idea.
Well, have at it. Knock yourself out.
In each sport, though, that's a big one, though. He said in each sport. So dynasty. So let's talk about that right now. Let's just talk about that. What team would you pick in hockey? Would it be the Canadiens?
Oilers.
Obviously. The Oilers.
Oilers would be good. That would be fun, because I just like saying some of those names. Mike Krushelnyski. Yeah, that would be the Canadiens.
Oilers
would
in
be
hockey, although I think the Canadiens have won more.
I'd love to. You did the Philadelphia thing, but those Flyers are that's really interesting to me, and I think you consider that a bit of a dynasty. Jeff, that's the best for me would be the Oilers.
I mean, the Oilers are a good one. That's the 80s, and that will be a lot of fun. What about NBA? Would it be the Lakers? Would it be the Celtics? Be the Bulls?
Hold on, I got to open the door.
The Pistons.
Jeff? The Pistons dynasty in the late 80s, early 90s.
That would be fun, and I think they're overlooked a lot.
All right. Interesting.
I don't know that there's one of those that hasn't. I mean, there have been great documentaries on the Celtics. I mean, we just had the Jordan Bulls thing that everybody, if you remember back when we started this, that's all we were talking about. I don't know the Pistons. There's also, I think, a 2-part or at least a 2-hour one on the Bad Boys. So that's been done as well.
It has been done. Okay.
Hey, there's one that's right up Mark's alley that could be done.
San Francisco in the 2010s, the Giants?
No, the 2020 Golden State Warriors.
There you go.
Oof. Well,
what happened? The story of the 2020 Golden State Warriors.
Well, that's what injuries can do, man.
Well, I just meant that dynasty's not even over. I mean, next year they will be right back on top again, especially if Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing with them.
And Joe saying UCLA now, UCLA basketball. There's already a great one on UCLA basketball.
There is.
Basically, no. There's a terrific one on UCLA basketball.
Is there one on the Oilers? I'm sure there is, right?
Oh, there's a great one, yes.
And there's one on the Pistons, you said already. Yeah. And there's one on UCLA. There's plenty on the Cowboys. There's plenty on the Niners. There's plenty on the Packers. There's plenty on.
Won't be doing the Cowboys of the 90s, Joe.
No.
Hill. I'm not going to do any dynasty one. Let's be honest. I'm not doing a dynasty deep dive. I'm not going to do it.
No, I'll do a dynasty deep dive. I like dynasties. I just have to get the right one. I don't want to do a hockey one at this point. The best I could do was talk about the Flyers in my Philly deep dive.
Yeah. You're not really a hockey guy.
But I enjoyed, spurting around that.
I get it.
Football, it's not going to interest me to do the Niners because I know everything. I'm not going to learn anything. And you want to be able to learn something yourself when you do these things.
How about Don Shula? What went wrong?
Don Shula.
What went wrong?
What's funny is you think
it that way.
I think what went wrong with Don Shula is Dan Marino.
I think I've always said this about that is that I think that he was overly loyal to assistants because I don't think the game passed Don Shula by, because I think the argument that it didn't was the fact that he had, he got to a Super Bowl in '82 with David Woodley at quarterback, rest in peace, and a powerful running game, and certainly those Dolphin teams of the '70s, powerful running game. And then he did have success with the best pure passer in football. I think what they ran into was, and we've talked about this ad infinitum with our friend Riley Claremont, is they never got bad enough to get high enough draft choices. I don't think the front office did as great a job drafting as they could have. I think there were a lot of bad draft choices if you look back at what the Dolphins did. They had some injury issues with guys like John Offerdahl, who were great players on defense. And I think some of those defensive coaches and even offensive coaches, Gary Stevens, who had success at the University of Miami as well, I don't necessarily think they were of the quality that Don Shula needed at that point to win championships.
I don't know. I tend to agree with Jeff in the sense that it was Marino.
Fell in love with that and just thought didn't have to.
Well,
but I mean, they did. They went. They got Sammy Smith, who a lot of people thought Sammy Smith was going to be a very good, and it didn't really work out. Bobby Humphrey, I believe.
I think, though, really, they didn't focus on the run Dan Marino's entire career. And I think that their lack of focus on the run led to a lot of that lack of having a run game.
Well, I think there's probably some of that.
The lack of defense, too, John. I mean, their defenses with, who's the defensive coordinator that was Tom
Olivadotti.
Olivadotti was roasted over a skewer. And again, if you have a good running game, you can control the clock, then your defense can have a chance to rest, for crying out loud.
No, I don't disagree with any
downfield. And
I think there were a number of reasons.
There's something in me that Dan Marino did not want a running game. Dan Marino just didn't have the will to win. He just wanted the stats.
I agree that he didn't want a running game. I'm serious. I don't think he did. I think that was the focus of that offense.
I got to say, Dan Marino wanted to win football games. I
obviously he had a will to win. Had a will to win. That's a funny trope to say, and it presses all kinds of buttons, which I love.
Now, by the way, Joe Conley now asking for a Miami Hurricanes or the Bills losing 4 in a row, both of which are 30 for 30s. Joe, somebody get Joe Conley the box set of 30 for 30s, for God's sake. He's throwing out documentaries we already have. The U is a two-parter. It's like 4 hours.
But Don Shula is a good one because he did lose the most iconic Super Bowl ever. You have to admit. They were 18.5-point favorites. Mm-hmm. He lost that. He also lost the Cowboys. They were outmanned that first Super Bowl in '71. They did win 2 in a row, iconically. Not how many teams have lost a Super Bowl and then won 2 in a row subsequent. No other teams done that. And they were undefeated. No other team's done that. And then he was able to reboot from 3 yards in a cloud of dust with an occasional deep bomb to Paul Warfield to the Dan Marino era and the David Woodley era. And they got to a Super Bowl in '82, which they easily could have won that game. That was the Washington Redskins, which they got just boat raced the following year, even though they had a much better team in '83. In '82, they did not have as good a team as they did. And Miami was in control most of that game.
That was that Miami defense that they had in '82 was really, really good, which is surprising because a couple of years later, Marino comes along and that defense isn't quite as good. And obviously they got boat raced by your Niners in the Super Bowl as well. But that was a really, really good defense. That was also a strike shortened year in '82. So there's a bit of an asterisk there.
I agree with that. But '84, they ran through everyone.
Yeah.
And the Niners made adjustments. They didn't do substitutions. They literally kept their defensive line in that was meant, for third downs, for rushing the quarterback, for getting after they kept them in there the whole time. They just took care of the run on the way into Marino.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins couldn't adjust. In '85, they were at home in a championship game and lost to the Patriots, an inferior team. The Dolphins and the Bears would have been a much better Super Bowl. In '92, they lose to the Bills at home in the championship game.
That's
They
the
lose a
shovel
game they
pass
should have won against the Chargers, a division game in '94.
Yeah.
I think Don Shula, what went wrong, is a pretty good idea.
Oh my God. That's all.
I will not.
That'd cause a rift.
I will lose
in
a
friendships. Yeah.
I will lose a friendship.
Yeah, that would cause a rift in friendships. Our friend Jerry Eisinger asking if there's a good documentary out there on Barry Sanders. Benefit of the fact that it's the Detroit Lions. We won't be doing that.
Well, no. Now, again, we can rip the Lions and exalt Barry Sanders at the same time. And Jerry, of course, a big Michigan guy. He's a big Lions guy.
Yeah.
His lifetime, the Lions have not. They've gone to one championship game and weren't even close. They really haven't sniffed even getting to a Super Bowl.
And we talked about it the last show. They also squandered good quarterback play. Greg Landry and the guy who does college football. I knew his name several days ago. Gary Danielson, who again, Joe Gibbs wanted to bring into Washington. He wanted to trade Joe Theismann and bring in Gary Danielson. So yeah, the Lions, boy, that would get. You would have to dig into. You would deal with so much. Just, and I don't even know they're not even entertainingly dysfunctional. It's just a mediocrity that is, there's a great line, Ford v Ferrari, one of my favorite movies. Love that movie. There's a point where Lee Iacocca is trying to convince Ford to buy Ferrari because Ferrari's out of money and it's up for sale, and eventually Fiat buys Ferrari. But there's a point where he's trying to make a point to these executives at Ford, and they're like, Ferrari makes fewer cars. We make more cars in a day than Ferrari makes all year. We spend more on office supplies than they do. And he makes the point, Enzo Ferrari will and has gone down as the greatest car maker of all time, not because he made the most cars, because he made the coolest cars. And you always just get a sense with the Lions that it's just this year in and year out, we're going to make more money. This is going to be very, very successful. We're going to build. We have a beautiful stadium, blah, 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 blah. But they just never, ever seem to be able to turn that into a success. And it is remarkable for how long they've been a franchise. They haven't won a championship since Bobby Lane in the 50s. And they really haven't sniffed other than 91. And that's a bit of an anomaly. Nobody thought that team was going to beat the Washington team in 91. They were head and shoulders above them. Who did they upset? They upset the Rams coming in. I can't remember who they upset.
I think Detroit beat Dallas, actually.
Maybe
that
Dallas.
was a Dallas team that was not quite there yet.
Right.
It was, 2 years removed from 15 losses.
Yeah.
And, the fact that Dallas got that far, I think that Detroit beat Dallas in 91. Sanders is interesting, though, because how many, there's only a handful, right, of running backs that have won the Heisman and are also then a Hall of Fame running back.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Who else?
Is Mike Garrett in the Hall of Fame?
No. I mean, I don't know.
Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen. That's a good one. Marcus Allen is. So that's 3. One outside of USC.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't.
This guy is a Heisman Trophy winner and a Hall of Famer and had a career that was as brilliant as Marcus Allen's or O.J. Simpson's. Obviously, he went over 2,000 yards one year, and I think broke O.J.'s record. May have even didn't break Dickerson's record, I don't think, but still. That Barry Sanders is a good one because then we can talk about the dysfunction of the Lions. Because to me, John, where I turned against Lions fans is the way they treated Wayne Fontes.
Don't they wish they had Wayne Fontes now?
Yes. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, you just make the playoffs every year. Wah. You don't win a playoff game. Well, you did win. You got to the championship game under Wayne Fontes, by the way. And then you got to 2 or 3 other playoff games under Wayne Fontes, and you hated the guy. Right. You hated the guy. Really? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and they didn't really have stellar quarterback play in the Fontes era. It really did come down to Barry Sanders, and I think a good quarterback can carry a mediocre coach better than a coach can carry a not good quarterback.
I think they had Eric Kramer and Scott Mitchell in that era. and you have Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
You have Barry Sanders. I think Barry Sanders is a good one. I do love the Woody Hayes one though, too.
Woody Hayes, why I snap.
I mean, do we have Woody Hayes documentaries out there? Woody Hayes had a remarkable career.
Yeah, there are Woody Hayes. There's Ohio State, Michigan documentaries and Woody Hayes. That I'll think about that one because I grew up. My father, the whole side, the Pelkey side of my family are all from Ohio, and Ohio State was the first college football team. Ohio State and Penn State were the first 2 college football teams that I was aware of. And, John Capoletti and then 2 Archie Griffin Heisman trophies back to back. Those were when I was 8, 9 years old. Those were the teams of note. So Woody Hayes would be a good one. Yeah, absolutely remarkable career.
And lost, I think maybe a big part of why he snapped was Dick Vermeil. They were undefeated going into that 1976 Rose Bowl with UCLA. And UCLA, who was not competing for a national championship, beat them. They happened to win the Pac-10 at the time. Maybe even Pac-8.
Might have been 8, yeah.
Yeah. And they happened to win that, but they weren't competing for a national championship. Ohio State was undefeated coming into that game. And that's only 3 years before the.
What year was that? 78?
70. It was 76 season.
76, so 5 years because it was 81, I believe, the Charlie Down.
I think it was still in the 79. I think it still was in the 70s. I think it might have been 79, 78 or 79.
I think it might have been. It might have been the 79 season in the 80 Gator Bowl. Let me check that.
It could be. I believe it was 79. 79 seems to come to mind.
Maybe that's a year I want to forget.
This news just broke. Tennessee Titans players did break protocol, and Ryan Tannehill was one of the players who broke protocol to work out.
Yeah, that had been the rumor earlier.
So I wonder if they're going to have to. I wonder if they're going to have to forfeit their next game. How about that? Because they're playing the Bills, 4-0 team against a 3-0 team. And if the Bills get a victory against the Titans from a forfeit,
yeah, would he institute that forfeit now? Would they institute that forfeit now, or is that that's a moving forward sort of thing? Because I don't think you can retroactively propose a penalty on someone, but if you could do it in any situation, because honest to God, if these guys haven't figured it out yet, that there is a really, really good chance that if you break protocol, there's a better than average chance that you may contract this. And it doesn't take a lot of you. Let's see. I'm trying to find the Woody. Yes, you're absolutely right. It was 78. The 1978, December 29th, 1978. So 78, 79, worst year of my life. I've done everything.
I'm good at the dates, Johnny.
You really are. You really are good at the dates. Apparently, Jeff's about ready to take his MG out for a run.
Amanda wants me to lose the England hat.
So I figured I would even out and make it a little better for her. She was disappointed in Mark's.
And Amanda, I hate to show you this, but I actually have an English flag on my tattoo. It is the 1776 album cover, but I do have the Union Jack on my. So we're losing some fans, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we're gonna explore sending the progressive trivia to Tom Marino. We're going to explore perhaps a Barry Sanders deep dive, and we're going to sit back and just watch all the sports happen in the next few days.
And we've got live games happening even as we speak.
Even as we speak, live sports are happening as we speak. So
that's right. As in the bottom of the third, with 2 down, the Braves are up 1-0 on the Marlins.
I like a Braves Dodgers NLCS, and I like an Astros Yankees ALCS. I think.
Wow, talk about a Sophie's choice for me. Good Lord.
Well, not really a Sophie. It's the opposite of Sophie's choice.
Take them both.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Man, the Yankees and the Astros.
That's something like a really dark, what was it? Kids in the Hall were pretty dark.
Yeah.
Just the show got pretty dark.
Yeah.
One of those shows would go, take them both.
That's the oft not mentioned catch 23.
There it is. Exactly. Gosh, I don't know, man. And I have said, this, Mark, I have said that Yankees Dodgers World Series, even though I don't like either of those teams, I could get behind that because of the nostalgic aspect of it. But boy, who would I cheer for? Astros, Dodgers, or Yankees, Dodgers?
Astros, Dodgers. It's obviously a great story to see if
it is a great story.
Get true redemption, not just the Joe Kelly making a face and hitting someone redemption and then getting a mural painted about him. Not that I have any opinion about that at all. But true
not
redemption.
A fan of murals. Why are you anti-mural?
No, I'm fine with murals. I'm fine with the idea.
As long as it's Juan Marichal. As long as Juan Marichal trying to murder Johnny Roseboro, that's okay.
Joe Connolly says Astros, Dodgers. Astros going to win again. Yankees, Dodgers obviously would be the best.
I'm looking for the I-75 series, brother.
The I-75 series?
That's right.
The
Braves, Rays.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. You're right.
The I-75 series.
Yes, it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to jump on 275 to get to St. Pete, but still, we all figure it out there.
I like the Braves. I like both those teams. Those teams could easily get there. There's no doubt about it. But especially the Braves. I don't think anyone's going to touch the Dodgers. I don't think the Astros will touch the Dodgers. I don't think the Yankees will touch the Dodgers. The Dodgers are by far and have been for over 2 years now the best team in baseball and the best organization in baseball. And you don't have to be a Dodger fan to see that. If you're a baseball fan, it's clear. And yet I agree. The yet is what makes it great. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to have something to show for it. In the end, it's great to have all of that success, but if you don't walk away, what do we think about when we think of the Braves of the 90s? We think about they really should have won more, and they did win one. They did right, and they won one. Imagine if the Dodgers get back now and don't ever have a chance to parlay that into a World Series championship. I'm kind of with you. I mean, I would bet on them against pretty much anybody. I would bet for them. As
giddy as I was that the Nationals beat the Dodgers in the division series, and we were on the ship. When I saw that, I literally was giddy, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Yeah, as giddy as I was, I did feel bad for Clayton Kershaw because it was him coming in there, gave up a home run, gave up a tie home run, gave up gave up 2 home runs in a row, I think.
Yeah.
And afterwards, the Dodgers clubhouse was so despondent. And he said, I guess what people say about me is true, about him being a clam in the postseason. And I don't know. There was something about that. It was like, I know the man makes $35 million a year.
Now I'm going to get onto my Lamborghini hovercraft and go to Fiji for a month.
Yes. I know all of these things. I know he's been privileged beyond belief. I know he's playing for the best organization maybe in sports right now. But somehow I did. I felt
you
bad.
do want to see the greats win. It's one, I was not a Dan Marino or a Dolphin fan during that era, but the fact that he never won one and deserved, and certainly Clayton Kershaw deserves a championship. He's a championship caliber player, but championships are won by teams, and the Dodgers, they put themselves in the position. They've put themselves in the position. To your point,
division. With 8 consecutive division titles. I mean,
8 consecutive division titles. Still one of the best organizations, if not the best organization in baseball. Still one of the great farm systems. Yeah. They've got the resources. Unlike Tampa, they've got the resources to pay for the big free agent here and there. They just have not performed under pressure in the most important games. And, there's the argument there are teams that don't play well from ahead. Teams that are not as favorites don't do as well as they do as underdogs.
Yeah.
And, wouldn't be shocked to see the Dodgers drop off, lose some of these guys in 3 years from now with an undermanned, gritty team come back and win it all.
Right. I love the Cardinals, who had great teams in 2006.
Yeah.
And I think in 2004, couldn't get over the hump. And then in 2011, when they barely snuck in, end up winning the World Series. Yeah, that story happens a lot. I do like the fact that Petco Park and Chavez Ravine are the sites of the ALDS and ALCS. And that Arlington and Houston are the sites for the NLCS. I think that's a lot of fun. And for baseball. Good for baseball to now put the playoffs in a bubble. And I think I would have to say on balance, Baseball has been very successful, and that was way up in the air, John Pelkey, in the spring and the early summer. It was way up in the air.
We felt they might have
together.
We felt they might have the most difficulty if they didn't bubble because of the travel and the way that was going to work, and playing multiple games a week against other teams. Whereas in the NFL, it's a weekly thing. Yeah, we did not have a lot of faith that baseball was going to get through it without a pause. I mean, I was texting you every day, Dominoes, thinking that at some point, that at some point they were going to have to at least, that's true. We did it. It was great. But we really thought that at the least they would have to pause the season, because you remember the discussion was, how long could they hold off? Could they not play for up to 10 days and then come back? And now it's the NFL, and I agree with you. I don't always like the strongman tactic of the NFL, but I think it's pretty obvious that given what we've seen and the loss of Cam Newton, it's a blow to the whole NFL. The fact that we didn't get to see the Cam Newton New England Patriots against the Chiefs robs us of one of those early season classic matchups. And I think what we saw from the Patriots defensively is that with Cam Newton, that's a hell of a football game and a bit of a pick 'em, frankly.
And I just don't know, just wear a mask, Ryan Tannehill, if you're working out. You know what I mean? And just don't get on a machine that has someone nearby, or wipe it down. I mean, I think if you do the normal protocols that CDC, social distance, wash your hands, wear a mask, you can do everything else you want to do, Ryan Tannehill. You can work out. I just don't understand. That kind of stuff. It's like just and in the end, just wear a mask. I don't.
It's
know.
hard. It's difficult.
If you do,
it's difficult for difficult for young guys like that. I mean, we heard the comments that I can't remember who it was.
I understand.
I can't remember who the player was who said, I wear the mask for other people. I think God will protect me and all that. And that's all fine that's your thing. But again, making the point that even though I believe that I'm protected from this, the reason I don't do it is so that I'm going to wear it is so that other people won't be infected. And for Ryan Tannehill, look, I get it. You feel bulletproof. You've proven some people wrong. Sure. I think a lot of us. And you're young and you're healthy, and there is a good chance that if you were to contract it, you would not. But don't you want to play? Don't you want to play the games? Because if you get it, you're gonna miss a couple of weeks. And I would think of a guy like Ryan Tannehill, who it took a while to get to this point where he is a good NFL quarterback on a good playoff caliber team.
Seriously.
Why do you want to miss games, dude? We want to see you play, Ryan.
Kirk Cousins, I believe, is the guy you were referring to.
Kirk Cousins, yes. I'd forgotten that he played in the NFL, and I think many people for the Vikings would prefer that he not be playing at this point in time.
On that note, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you to all of our fans, the half dozen or so that are out there. We appreciate you tremendously.
Reese Williams, our newest fan.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube Live. For John Pelkey, Jeff Taylor, I'm Mark Ferreira. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Stay safe.